lovers, and welcome to In Bed with Bevy. And I'm laid up with somebody I absolutely adore, someone who is a kiki good time, but also a man who is a bona fide pop culture impresario, journalist, and all around bon vivant. I'm talking about Mr. Justin Sylvester. Welcome to In Bed with Bevy, lover.
Honey, this is the first time I've ever been in a bed with a woman like this.
I know. You like it?
I kind of do.
Okay, what you got on? What are you wearing? Because we're both red carpet kids.
Just a little robe. Just a little something. Yeah, nothing crazy.
You know that your robe is actually Frette by SLS Hotels.
Oh, don't think I didn't read the tag, because I'm planning on stealing it on the way out.
Well, don't do that, because then they're going to charge mother.
You got money? We good. ...
So, on top or under?
Ooh, under.
You like to be under the covers?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I like it a little warm.
You like it a little warm?
Yeah. Which is supposedly bad for you, by the way. You know that, right?
Warm?
You're supposed to sleep in a cold room. Did you guys know that?
I didn't know that.
I read that shit on Instagram. But it could be wrong, because I got it from Instagram.
Yeah, so who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? But one thing we do know is that I'm a big fan of yours. You remember when we met, how enthralled I was by you.
Yes, and vice versa.
Vice versa.
By the way, we always meet up in New York.
We always meet up in New York.
We always have the best time. We always go to the most low-key diner.
Yes.
And with it's always like a wild scene. It's like the Upper West Side. There's like old Jewish people everywhere.
Exactly.
And then our two black asses right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
Mix, as we belong.
Yeah, I love it there.
Yeah.
I love it there.
We belong together, and we belong in the mix.
I do. I'm so happy.
I'm so happy to be with you, because this podcast is really so much about being in the middle. And you and I have talked about being in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm currently in the middle, and I'm 55.
Say that again?
I'm 55.
Say that one more time?
I'm 55. I'm 59 years old.
Bitch.
And I'm in the middle.
Look at this face right here.
Okay.
Look at this face right here.
She's sitting.
She's sitting real pretty. Hold on. Let me check them scars. Let me check them ears. Make sure nothing's pulled back here.
Yes, it's a pull back. But don't pull it too far up, because you know it's the game.
Right. But I'm happy you brought up the middle, because I never thought about it before. And after we got off the phone, I realized that I have spent most of my life in the middle, which most people would think middle, you're stuck. But I think of the middle as a place where you strive to go up. So you're always working. You're always trying to be better. You're always trying to prove yourself.
And you're striving.
And you're striving. And I love to be in a place where I'm always constantly trying to prove myself.
Now, I don't like always trying to prove myself, but I do like the idea of always being discovered. I never want to make it so big that that everyone knows who I am.
100%. Because then you're done.
Then you're done, and it's boring.
It's boring.
And then you can't like go to a dive bar and make out with a guy and do things underneath the bar. Because everyone knows
Everyone knows you. I often think to myself, Ryan Seacrest was like the pinnacle of what I wanted to be when I was growing up, and I still want to be him.
Not really, though.
But not really.
Your own.
Yeah, but I want to be on that level, you know?
Yes.
And I would wonder all the time, like, is that life even fun? Like, is Beyonce having fun? Like, is she having a good time?
Is she having a good time? Because she can't even, like, just go to the mall.
She can't even go to the mall.
She can't go to the mall. She can't go to the movies. She can't take the kids to Chuck E. Cheese.
I was shopping with a friend. This is back.
Famous friend.
No, this is a normal friend.
Okay, a normie.
And this is back civilian, as I like to call us.
Yes.
And this is back when Target was we could still go to Target, okay?
We can't now.
We can't go right now. But back then, we used to just go to Target for fun.
Target, darling.
Yes. Middle of the day, we had some time to waste. Let's go walk around Target.
Yeah, see what we can get. $17.99 pair of pants.
Let's go. I used to like to go in with $40 and see how much I can get. That was like my jam.
Which is a new TV show that you're working on.
Which I wish I get.
$40 and you just see what you can get.
Oh yeah, dollar store too. Let's see, $20. Let's see what I can get for the week.
Right.
And my friend turns the corner and she drops the thing in her hand. And I turn the corner and Beyonce is in Target.
Not Beyonce in Target.
Beyonce was in Target, but she had on that, you know what? She had on that sweatsuit and she had on that Sandra Pay wig. You know, the curly one you just throw on. Like you don't need lace top in the front. You just throw that bitch on. And I told my friend, she goes, I want to go say hi. I said, don't you dare. She is literally having a moment. She just wants to be a normal person. Let her do it. And by the way, you see that big black man over there? His name is Julius. He will fucking tackle you, bitch. And I will leave you on the ground.
Yes.
I will leave your white ass on the ground. And we didn't go say anything. And she would have been the nicest. She would have greeted us. But she just wanted to be herself.
Give her space.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we all need our space. And right now, we have a lot of space.
Yeah.
Okay?
A lot of space.
Okay? But you know what? You're someone who is known because you've done so many shows. You did 10 years on E! News.
Yeah.
10 years.
It was crazy.
Crazy. And you're from Louisiana.
Yeah.
So how does a little boy from Nutbush, as I call it, get to be on one of the largest cable networks and, like, talk to all the biggest stars?
You know, it was so crazy. Long story short, when I was 14, I used to work at this restaurant as a busser. And this woman would come in all the time, and she did weddings. And if you had money, or if you were somebody from Dallas to New Orleans, this woman did your wedding. She was like Preston Bailey.
Yeah.
And one day she came in, I must have been like 14 or 15, and she was like, hey, I would love for you to work at one of my weddings. And I was like, I don't know, what would I do? And she was like, I don't know, but I like your energy. Why don't you start to come? So I went to the first wedding. She was like, let's just try you out because I'm shorthanded. I did the first wedding, and we were on walkie-talkies at the time, and they were paging her because there was this huge drama in the bridal suite, and we couldn't find her. So I went into the bridal suite. By the time she came there, I had controlled the situation. I made everyone cocktails. I got everybody together. I told the bride, please take off that red lipstick. You're going to regret it. I gave the mother-in-law Xanax. Like I was just all over the place.
What you do.
I was doing the Lord's work.
Yes.
And she looked at me and she was like, oh my God, I'm going to need you for the rest of your life. As long as you're living here on a Friday or Saturday, you're mine.
Wow.
So she would take me and teach me how to, set rooms and florals and all these things. She kind of took me under her wing. Yeah. And one of the weddings I did at 16 was Allie Landry's bridal shower.
Wow.
And from there, Allie was like, I think you should move to LA.
And you're 16.
I'm 16 years old. So I'm like, hey, I'm a sophomore in high school, but thank you so much. I would love to just, whatever. And 2 years later, I was doing another wedding, and she was one of my bridesmaids. And she was like, I really think you should move to LA. I'm like, hey, I don't have time for this. Right. You're walking next. Make sure you keep your bouquet here. Can you get your hair out of your face? Right. Awesome. Just walk through. Yeah. I'll catch you. 4 years later, I'm 21 years old, and she's at another wedding.
Why is she always at weddings?
Because she's from Louisiana. Okay. She's from my small town.
No.
Yes.
The same small town?
We're both from the same small town.
With 2 stars.
With 2 stars. And she, coincidentally, God put her at this wedding. I was at my breaking point. And she was like, I think you should move to LA. And I said, you know what? I think I might. Yeah. And I drove my car a month later.
From Nutbush to Los Angeles.
Nutbush, baby. Put everything in my car, my 2-door Honda Accord. Wow. Put my TV, put all my clothes, put 2 Gs, and said, okay, I'm coming. And I drove to LA, and that's how I got here.
And what was the first job you got in entertainment?
So, funny enough, she called me and said, I think you should move. I said, I'm going to move in May. And she was like, I think you should move sooner. And I said, why? She goes, oh, I have a girlfriend who needs an assistant. I think you guys would be great together. And I was like, I don't know if I could do it. She was like, no, you could do it. You can stay at my house. I'm going to hook you up with the interview. Just be here by January 15th. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm coming. So I got to her house, and I was like, so when am I meeting your friend? She goes, oh, I haven't scheduled the meeting yet. She's hard to pin down, but I think when you guys will meet, you guys will really hit it off. She doesn't know she needs an assistant yet, but I really think that once you guys meet, it's all going to happen.
So this was like literally a kamikaze, like stealth, like.
Literally. And I'm thinking to myself, holy shit. I moved here on a maybe?
Right. You ain't tell me that, girl. I thought I had a job waiting for me.
But she was like, no, just give it some time. A month goes by.
You're living in Allie's house.
I have now found an apartment. And
with the 2 Gs.
With the 2 Gs. I found a little apartment, moved into the apartment. I'm on this back and forth with this A-list actress who was like, I want you to be my assistant. And Allie's like, you need to meet this woman before you say yes to this A-list actress, because I think this opportunity is going to be bigger for you.
Wow.
I met the woman It was Kyle Richards. And she thought that...
Was she a housewife at the point?
I started... My first week of work was her first week of shooting of season 1. And when I signed the release form, she didn't even know what the show was going to be. She thought she was going to go on. It was going to be 3 months of shooting. It was not going to be this big of a deal. And I basically had to sit her down and be like, this is going to be huge. I'm going to be here for 5 years. And your life is going to change.
Yeah. And people are going to be all up and through your business.
People are going to be all up in your business.
It's going to ruin your wedding, your marriage. It's going to ruin it.
It's going to ruin everything.
It's going to ruin everything.
But honestly, it made it stronger. It was crazy. Yeah. It was really weird.
Would you ever do reality TV?
I'm not good at it. I would do Traders.
Okay, yeah.
I would do Traders.
Yeah.
But I'm not good at reality TV.
What do you mean you're not good at reality TV? What does it take to be good at reality TV?
I worked with, in my opinion, the Serena Williams of reality TV.
Okay, who's that?
Kyle Richards
is... she's the Serena.
She is the GOAT of reality TV. And if I can't do it that well, I don't want to do it at all. Because I watch her put herself out there authentically and not be afraid of anything and take people on and say what's on her mind. And you can't find people like that anymore.
Okay, but that brings me to what you're doing with Blakeley Thornton.
It's scary. It's awesome, though.
It's awesome.
It's hilarious.
It's incredible.
He scares the shit out of me. I have
of course
IBS.
He does.
I have IBS every time I walk into
because it's like he's going to set fire to the ring.
Oh, all day.
All day. And he does not give a darn. He is really rambunctious. He is highly opinionated, and he doesn't care. He doesn't do politics.
No. And he's, you know what the problem is? And not the problem, the blessing and the curse is he's brilliant. So smart.
He's brilliant.
He's so brilliant. Smart. And I've never had a job that has made me uncomfortable ever in my life, and this job makes me uncomfortable.
Wait, what's the name of it? The Yestergays. The Yestergays. The Yestergays, which I absolutely love. And when I'm watching it, I think that Blakeley really helps you show up as your truest self.
Of course.
On that show. Like, because you're cussing up a storm. You know what I mean? Like,
we all have those one cousins. We all have those one cousins.
Yes.
When they come to town.
Yes.
We all, that potty mouth comes out. Yep. We drink a little too much MD 2020.
Yeah. And then it's all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And that's what he is for you.
Bavisha comes out. Justina comes out.
Yes.
He is that for me, and I am the opposite for him. Yeah. I calm him down a little bit, and I think he secretly likes it. Yeah. I think he secretly fucking likes it.
Well, I think that more people are going to discover the show and going to be introduced to two black gay men who are incredibly intelligent and very successful in their own right, but also very self-aware. That's the thing that I really enjoy about it. And I also enjoy that for once, I feel like we're getting two black gay men who don't have to pander.
No.
I think that that's one of the most important things that we're seeing is that you guys are actually able to be unbridled and unfiltered.
Yeah.
And that's a hard road to walk.
And by the way, I can't be too unfiltered because I'm still in the contract at E.
But you know what though? You are unfiltered in the way that I think we're hearing opinions from you that we've never heard before.
Oh, of course. But again, we all have that one cousin when we get on the phone with them and we start talking and the drinks start flowing. It's just there. Yeah. And you know, Yestergays for me is my own. It's mine.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's mine.
Let's talk about the intellectual property of it all. This is mine. IP. In bed with Bevy. Yestergays. We need our own IP. We can still work within these systems, but it's so important for us to have something that we own in totality.
You have to have a side hustle.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't mean just people in entertainment. No. I mean everybody.
Everybody should have multiple income streams.
Yes. And by the way, even if you're knitting and selling it at the flea market for $4, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You need something to make you feel fulfilled and to give you an outlet to be yourself.
To be yourself.
And I didn't know that until I was in my 30s.
Yeah. Well, you also came into this business so early. Also, you came into it without even, you were gifted these opportunities. They were literal gifts. And I will tell you this, for me, I feel the same way. I was gifted a lot of opportunities. And it really was not until I decided to do In Bed with Bevy that I would say the first time I ever really took control of my destiny was when I quit Rolling Stone magazine when I was 38. That's the first time.
That's crazy.
Because all the other times, all the things I had done up until then,
you were going with that. You were going with the road that was paved.
Yeah,
you
baby.
were just trying to get to that C-suite.
The people were just giving me all the opportunities, and I was like, yes, and.
And by the way, let me just correct you. Not given the opportunity. You were put up for the opportunity. You showed up and showed out.
Yes.
And took what was yours.
Yes, indeed. But I didn't ask for any of it, and now I'm asking for what it is that I want.
You gotta fucking ask. You gotta ask.
Yes, and I'm demanding it. Actually, not even asking. I'm being very, very ballsy and brassy. I'm abroad about it now. You know what I mean? And that comes with maturity. That comes with age. That comes from knowing yourself and knowing your gifts.
100%.
It's about being self-aware.
Yeah, and also letting the fear go.
I
think that we all have this thing that fear has blocked us from trying new things or stepping outside the box. And especially with social media, everyone is afraid to fuck up because everybody's a critic.
Everybody's going to judge you if you fuck up.
Everybody's going to judge you.
You know what? When you have these mistakes, you always learn from them if you're smart.
Yeah, but by the way, and also, once you get burned once and you realize that it's okay, you put a little cream on it, you take a little break.
You put some ointment on it.
You hide for 60 days, maybe 90, and when you come back, people forget because somebody else is going to fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. You know? But you've never messed up in that way.
I've been burned one good time.
Do you want to mention it?
No.
Okay.
I'll tell you off camera, though.
Okay, you tell me off camera.
I'll tell you off camera.
But we can also Google it, guys. So let's go on Justin Sylvester's fuck up.
I had one good fuck up. And by the way, it wasn't even my fault. I just didn't explain something fully. But you know what? I learned.
You learned.
I learned.
Yeah. One of the things I learned is that people like us who have the ability to cross like age, gender, sexual orientation, and race, a lot of times we are what I call peculiar talent. And a lot of times they don't really know what to do with us. They know that they want to be in bed with us. They know that they want to be in business, but they don't really know what to do with us fully.
Yeah.
And I feel like with E, you had a great run. 10 years of E! News. And now you're still working with them, of course. You're doing all the big red carpets and all that. So you're doing all this marquee stuff. And more importantly, you're still a part of NBC Universal. You're still a part of that very big machine. Yeah. Which is really great. Which is how you got to be a part of Jenna and Friends. Yeah. And that was amazing to see you up there. I remember the first time, and it was before it was Jenna and Friends, you would just sit in when Holder would be out or when Jenna would be out and everything, and it was so great to see you in that position because you brought something really great to daytime, to morning television. Thank you. You brought this really great kind of wink, wink, nod, a little bit of naughtiness.
That's what you have to bring.
Yeah. Well, or is it? Because can they take it?
Well, you know, that's the risk.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe I played my hand wrong in that whole situation because when I walk into a situation, like let's say E, for instance, when I auditioned for Daily Pop the first time, there was 36 people in the room and they all were cookie cutter E! News hosts. Like I could tell you exactly what they were going to say because they were all trained the same way. Yep. I came in with a different perspective, a different way of delivering it. I came in from the school of Wendy Williams. And I blended the two.
Yeah, because I'm like, what?
I was Wendy Johnson. I was Wendy Johnson.
Wendy Johnson.
I wasn't Wendy Williams. I was Wendy Johnson. Yeah. Okay? The Mary.
Yes. You know what I mean? Shout out to Wendy.
Yeah, shout out to Wendy.
But very few people can get away with being Wendy Williams.
No, but that's what they wanted. They saw the future coming. They saw Instagram and social media and opinions coming, and I saw it too. Yeah. But I also knew that like I couldn't beat out Kat Sadler or Jason Kennedy or any Will Marfuji if I was doing exactly what they were doing because they were going to do it better. Yep. And when I went into the Today Show, my thought process was I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go in and I'm going to try it just a little bit different. I'm going to give that wink. I'm going to give that nod. Yeah. I'm going to give that naughtiness, like you said, and either they like it or they won't. But I'm not going to outdo anybody who was already there. No. They all have been trained by the Today Show. Yeah. And I was very lucky. I got to do 5 years to the date of the Today Show.
5 years.
I got to do 5 years. Wow. Like, who can say that?
Yeah. And I'm sure it was a game changer as far as your profile, right?
1,000%. Yeah. The Today Show for me, if I'm going to be completely honest, I thought I had a 15 to 20% chance of getting that job. Really?
So low. Even though they loved you. Clearly they loved you. They wanted you all the time.
I'm realistic.
And you had a lot of big fans, including my Andy Cohen was a big fan, is a big fan. You had a lot of people rooting for you. We were all rooting for you.
They were all rooting for me, but I am very realistic. And I told you this when we talked. When you're in the middle, you have to be smart, you have to be on point, but you also have to be realistic.
Yeah, self-awareness.
You have to be self-aware of where you stand. Yeah. And I knew in September that there was a chance I wasn't going to get this job. And I used this platform to showcase what I could do on one of the biggest platforms in the world, because I was waiting for somebody else to see it. I wanted other people to be like, okay, if they're not going to take him, let's try to figure something out with this kid. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And now when people ask me for reels, are they looking for some tape? I'm like, great, I did 5 years on the Today Show. Yeah. Here you go.
Here you go.
Here you go. Not many people can say that they did the Today Show for 5 years. And the best part about being in the middle and being self-aware about what's going on around you is that for me, just having my name in conversations that you're not even a part of, in rooms that you've never even walked in. Yeah. Like for my name to be in the top 3 of anyone, for Hoda Kotb to go and watch What Happens Live and say, oh my God, I think the top 4 people should be this one, this one, this one, and Justin. Like, come on. Yeah. You know? That to me, like those are the moments that make me appreciate every single step that I've taken in my life. Yeah. You know what I mean? And maybe I didn't get the job. Maybe that wasn't the job for me.
It wasn't.
But what I could tell you though is my name was being said when I wasn't around.
Okay. Not only that, you also proved something to yourself.
Yeah. That
you had what it takes to do national daytime morning television on that level. Yeah. That's rare air that
it's rare air. It's rare air.
It's very rare air.
And by the way, when I started that journey, Jenna and Friends, I just so happened to be at Hoda's last show in New York and watching Jenna take the baton and Hoda pass it off to her. And, you know, Jenna and I have had some very, you know, great conversations, some very great one-on-one, you know, moments. And I honestly just wanted to be there for her. Yeah. You know what I mean? And if she called me tomorrow, she or Chanel called me and said, hey, I need you to be here for me. Like, I'm there, you know? Yeah. So to go along that ride and be the person who was there the most out of any friend, that was special to me. Yeah. You know, I'm always going to have that memory with her. On a personal level. Yeah.
And you're also going to always have that memory knowing that the people, America, loved you in that way, which is very, very special.
They were ready for a black gay.
They were ready for, but...
America was ready.
No, I don't know that all of America was ready. So let's talk a little bit about that, honey. Because I do believe, now this is what I believe. Yeah. I think that if you had gone up for that job 2 years prior... Yeah. You would now be the host of, it would be Jenna and Justin.
You think?
Yes, because DEI being like on the chopping block means that as talented as a black gay man is, there are going to be a lot of outspoken critics.
Yeah, of course.
That will have a lot to say. And now those people's voices have a lot more volume. They're amplified.
Well, here's the craziest part. I think that a lot of times we think that way. Mm-hmm. And I think once you present something to America or people, they always have something to say at the beginning. No one's ever happy with a decision anyone has ever made. You know what I mean? Like since 2020, I feel like when people got on that keyboard, literally, people could put $2,000 in your bank account tomorrow and somebody would say, why was it a $2,500? You know what I mean? Or like, I have one extra kid. Why did I get the same? You know, it is what it is. And I think a lot of times, executives overthink these decisions. But it was her time.
Oh, no, Chanel, for sure.
It was her time.
No, for sure. You're not a mom. You know what I mean? You're not a dad.
I'm outside.
You're outside. They've never had a host who was literally in the world, in the really big, broad world of pop culture and entertainment. You're not someone who was like, I think the last time we had something like that was Regis Philbin.
Listen.
Regis was outside.
Let me tell you who else is outside.
Ooh.
And I always bring this up.
Ooh.
Say what you want, but Gayle King.
Gayle King be outside.
Gayle King
is in the
outside.
streets.
And by the way, that's why people fuck with Gayle. That's why people will go to CBS and give a one-on-one because Gayle is at the
outside.
dinners. Gayle's at the weddings. Gayle's on the boats. Gayle's flying from San Tropez to New York to do one interview and then flying back. You know, what NBC and what ABC is missing, in my mind, was someone who was outside, someone who was experiencing the city like no one else. And that's what I tried to bring to it.
And you did bring it.
I loved it.
I just don't know if that's needed at this moment, in this juncture of where the country is. But we're not going to get into all of that. But I just think 2 years prior, it would have been your job. It would have been Jenna and Justin. Okay?
Could you imagine?
I would have loved it.
Shit would have been fast.
But you know what? I also think that everything is as it should be. I believe that wholeheartedly. And I believe that if you had taken that job, you would not be able to grow in the way that you are growing now. Because there is something about being forced to create on your own, to be a creative entrepreneur. There's something about that. You don't have time to do Yestergays if you are on Jenna and Justin.
Yeah, but let me tell you the thing that I would have sacrificed. I know for a fact that would not have been the case. But for myself, being on a show like that, let's say I would have did 5 years. Let's say I would have did a cute 5 years.
A cute one.
You know how amazing it is to know that people see Jenna Bush and I together, and the reaction is always, I love your friendship. I love how fun you guys are. Everybody secretly wants a gay best friend. You know?
But is that problematic?
Let me tell you something. I don't mind being the person who softens someone's heart.
Okay. I love that. I love that.
If you're going to watch me and a Bush, an American icon, a first daughter, hold hands during a segment every morning and talk and kiki.
And talk about at the Beyonce show.
And at the Beyonce show and sit and understand one another. I think when people don't know, scares them. And to be on people's screens every morning at 10 a.m. with that kind of legitimacy would have helped homophobia more than I could even imagine.
I agree. Because
you know
representation matters. That's why we always say that, right? Representation matters. People fear what they don't know. And if they had known you, you would have been representation. And then maybe the young queer kid that they see down the road, they would have had a little more compassion for him and not been like, don't you play with him.
And by the way, and when I say representation, I don't mean, yes, it's important for me to see myself in somebody else. It was very important. Seeing RuPaul was very important. Watching Queer Eye was extremely important. Watching Andy Cohen do his shit was magical, you know? But it's just as important for the housewife in Missouri or the woman in Nebraska or the husband in San Francisco to see two people from opposite sides of the aisle come together to have a good cup of coffee and a good laugh at 10 a.m. You know what I mean?
You would have been doing it for the American public. It ain't
really
even for
would.
you. You didn't even want the check.
By the way, I want the check.
You take the check. But you want to do it for the people.
But for me, it's like, you know, when I worked at E, when I first started working at E, I quickly realized that my job was not just to show up and look cute and bring you the news. My second job became to make sure when I was in that newsroom on Daily Pop and we were putting that show together and I looked at that board, I could say, well, we don't have any black people in the A block. I think we need to move Gabrielle Union up. I think we need to talk about this rapper. I think we need to talk about this socialite. And now we're at 60-40. No one's going to say those things in those rooms because they're not thinking that way.
They're not thinking that way.
You know, or when someone steps out, it's like, all right, who are we going to have guest co-hosts? Let's bring in Brandon Kyle Goodman. Let's bring in Shamba Drum. Let's bring in all these other, you know, people of color, POC, and let's open doors for them, you know, and let's make sure that make sure that your job here, your secondary job, is to open those doors behind the scenes, because we can all sit and say what's wrong with the world. You know, I can say it 1,000 times on TV, but if I make sure that when I leave that 4 other gay men are walking in, I did my job.
You did your good job. And you're still doing your good job.
I'm still doing my good job.
I will tell you this. I believe that what you're doing right now with Blakeley is going to be a big game changer.
Thank you.
I do believe that. And I hope that will make you a multimillionaire.
I hope so too.
From your own steam.
From your mouth to God's ears.
Yeah, but you know, when we started talking, you talked about how you don't mind being in the middle because it reminds you that you're on the upward trajectory.
Yeah.
You know? When's the last time it felt like you were actually pushing a boulder up a hill, though? Because I know there has to be times when you do feel dejected, because I'm an optimistic person as well.
Yeah.
But there are times when you're like, ooh, child, I was tired. and I understand that I'm on my way up. I understand that there is a trajectory.
Yeah.
But I kind of wish I was already there. When's the last time you felt kind of dejected?
You know, I felt dejected. I think when I first came to E, one of the executives there told me, like, focus on this. This is going to be the only thing you're going to do. Like, you're never going to move past this. Like, we don't see you for this.
That's an insane thing to say to somebody.
It was, but it was also a gift. And let me tell you why.
Yeah. You like a challenge?
It's not that I like a challenge. I like transparency. So and I have a lot of respect for this executive. The fact that she told me at that moment that the thing that I was striving for was never going to happen for me, I stopped wasting my energy trying to make it happen, and I put my energy towards something else. So I then started doing the Today Show.
Oh.
Because I'm like, if you guys don't see it here, and thank you so much for telling me that, because I would have been here trying to make, trying to make it work, and it's not going to work.
Yeah.
I put my energy into Today Show. I put my energy into trying to start a podcast. I put my energy into finding other resources and other places to put my energy. You know, it's when you're being played and dogged around with, and they don't give you the full story.
Yes,
This is, that's when
when they're dangling the carrot.
When they dangling the carrot.
And it's on a little string and they pull it away. The closer you get, the more they move it away.
Greatest conversation. I still have that shirt in my house. I remember the polo I was wearing, and I keep it in my home. It was 7 years ago. I put it on sometimes. I still wear it every now and then.
Every now and again.
Just to remind myself.
And it still has a stain on it.
And by the way, it still has a stain on it.
It has a stench of failure on it.
Literally. I wore it on the Today Show when I co-hosted it.
As a talisman.
Just as a talisman.
Like, okay.
Just to remind myself, like, you thought.
Yeah, you thought. But now look at me. Look at your boy now.
No, and again, by the way, I don't even look at it as something that is...
You don't look at it in a negative way.
I don't look at it in a negative way. And I swear to you, I didn't even look at it in a negative way when it happened to me. I was so appreciative that someone was honest.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I love that. You're so optimistic.
You have to be.
No, you do, but you're almost like optimistic in a way of like almost like a Pollyanna. You know what I mean? Like where it's like you're like about to break out into a musical tune or something about like you know like life looks like rainbows and flowers and kittens to you.
No, listen, bitch. When you've had it hard, I grew up in a hard place.
Okay.
I grew up in a all-black neighborhood as like one of the only gay men in that neighborhood in a segregated town in South Louisiana.
Okay.
You know, I went through Hurricane
Life
Katrina.
for you ain't been no crystal stair.
No, my mother was single, working 2 jobs, you know, just my life to me and going through hurricane and my dad dying and my grandmother passing and my best friend committing suicide all in the same year, starting college in 05, like everything all happened in 1 year. And if I can get through 05,
Yeah. You can
I can get through anything. And
that's why you appreciate the middle.
that's why I appreciate the middle, because I've been to the bottom,
Yes,
babe.
yes.
I've been to the fucking bottom. And honestly, this is so crazy. I can't believe I'm telling you this. So when I moved to LA, I had a $2,000 I had $2,000 in a shoebox. And I always told myself, if something were to go wrong, you always have this $2,000. You can drive yourself back to Louisiana. You can find an apartment. You can get your life started. That $2,000 right here, I still have that $2,000 in the same spot.
Oh my God. I love that.
Because you never know when it can
You just
happen.
never know. It's like when back in the day you used to keep like a $20 in your wallet just in case you go on the date with the boy and you need to take a taxi home because he acted a fool. But yours is $2,000. I love that. It's shoebox.
I have a shoebox. If worst case scenario,
What shoebox
you
is
leave
it? Is it
everything.
Gucci? Is it Nike? What is
girl,
it?
it's a Steve Madden.
Even better.
That white box with the
Yes,
black
yes,
writing.
yes,
And I
Steve
can tell you what
Madden.
shoes were in there. White loafers. that I wore to
Yes,
the
come
club.
on. When you were trying to act like it was Gucci, but it was Steve Madden. Come on, Sandra Pay.
When you have to make $1 out of 50
Sandra-nay.
cents. Sandra-nay. By the way, that's my drag name.
Sandra-nay.
Sandra-nay.
Sandra-nay. Oh my God, I love
I
that.
fucking love the middle. And I'm going to love the middle until I'm in my 40s, which is coming up.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't even think you can say until your 40s because you don't know. I will tell you this. My 40s, for me, thus far, were my best decade.
Yeah.
I did so much in my 40s, and I did a lot in my 50s too, but my 50s was filled with a lot of loss.
Yeah.
So I'm actually looking forward now to my 60s.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will tell you that you might still be in the middle in your 40s because the middle doesn't mean that you're not progressing.
No.
It just means that you haven't hit the summit. Like I was saying before when we were just chatting, I think probably the only people that really have reached that summit are people that are really old and very well settled,
Yeah.
where they have nothing left on the list. Like I think Norman Lear probably died completed. I think Cicely Tyson,
Died
as a matter of
completed.
fact, Cicely Tyson, I was one of her last interviews. Me and Gayle King were probably the only two people that interviewed her for her book tour.
Wow.
I interviewed her on a Tuesday. She died on a Thursday.
Damn.
My point is this. When I was chatting with her, because you know she had never written a book. I feel like she had done all that she wanted to do. She had just gotten the Oscar 2 years prior.
Yeah.
You know, she had the Emmy, all the things. And then she wrote the book
Damn.
on her life.
And then
she had
died.
the final word. And then she died.
And she died. You know what's so funny? I think I'm going to do the same thing.
No, you're going to write a book far before you're in your 90s.
I can't look back. I can't stop and look back.
Yeah.
Like all my friends know, if you're my good friend, you know the last thing you tell me is, I'm so proud of you. Or like, oh my God, can you believe where you are? Like, don't tell me that. Do not say it. Because
Why?
I can't for the life of me stop and look back. Like,
Are you afraid?
No, I'm not afraid. I just think it would fuck up my journey. I think that if I look back, maybe I might get a sense of like, oh, I did it and it's fine. Like, I don't need to strive anymore.
Yeah.
But the fact that I'm still running forward, like, I still need to do that.
You like that hunger in your belly.
I really do.
Yeah.
And by the way,
You never want to be full.
I never want to be full.
You never want to be sated.
Ever.
You always want to have a longing in your loins. Yes.
I always.
You always want to feel depleted.
You know what my favorite thing to hear? This is crazy. This is my favorite thing to hear.
You complete me.
No, my favorite thing to hear from people is...
I just bust off.
No.
We can cut that part out.
No, keep it in. Keep it in. My favorite thing to hear from people is, God, we really wish we got more from you. Like, I really wish I would have saw some more of you. They didn't play enough of you.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish they had you on the screen more.
Yeah.
That to me is like one of the greatest compliments ever.
Yeah.
Because it means that, like, I wasn't the main. I wasn't the main. I don't mind. By the way, I don't mind not being the main bitch.
For now.
I do
you
not
think
mind.
You will always? Do you think you'll always want to be a part of an ensemble?
I do not mind being Robin. I thought Catwoman was the shit.
Yeah.
I thought Robin was fun.
But Catwoman had agency. Robin was always in service to Batman. It's
I don't mind it. I don't mind Ethel. When I watched Lucy and Ethel,
Yes.
I always wanted to be Ethel.
Really?
Like, I don't mind. When I'm working with a bad bitch who knows more about life or doing more or is more talented or more connected, I learn so much from that person.
Yeah.
I also shine when they shine. And they shine when I shine.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
That's the way you look at it.
Yes.
I love that. So you don't have ego in that way.
Never. And even when the whole Today Show thing happened, I always said, my prayer was always, God, let me get this show. But if I don't get this show, if it goes to Chanel Jones or another gay person, I'm Gucci.
Yeah.
I am so okay with that. Just because I knew she deserved it.
Yeah.
But B, if I lost out to her or another gay man, I was fine.
Yeah.
I was fine.
Because you knew that something else is there for you.
I moved here when I was 21 years old, with not a plan.
Yeah.
Like, I've never gone hungry. God has never, and I say God, if you believe in the universe, if you believe in Mother Nature, if you believe in the person haunting you, as long as you believe in a higher power, I don't know who she or he is, but for some odd reason, he has counted my steps and put them in the right, I've always felt like something has been guiding me in the best way possible, and I'm not going to stop thinking that today.
Well, you have a light, and that's what it is. You have a light inside of you, and it just emanates.
I love you, Bevy.
And I love you, but that's the reason why people love you too. People see that.
Me. No, people fuck with me hard.
Yeah.
And you know what? I like good people.
Yeah.
You know, that's why you and I.
That's why we
That's why
click.
G.
Really quick, we gotta go here about the discovery. We talked about how we don't mind being discovered. And because so many people, it's offensive to them when people are like, I didn't know who you were, but now I love you. I enjoy that more than most.
I love it.
I love being discovered.
I dated Normie. I've dated him for 1.5 years. And when we went on our first trip out of town, I said to him in the car right there, I said, just so you know,
people know
there's going to be a lot of people who are coming up. And if you want to go ahead of me, like, you're totally fine, but don't think that you have to, like, stay behind.
Yeah.
And I'm not telling you that to toot my own horn.
Yeah, just want to let you know.
I want to warn you.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to warn you is everyone's going to want to have a moment, and I'm going to give them that moment. People deserve that moment.
Yeah.
And as long as I can do it, I'm going to do it. And he thought I was tripping. And we walked through the airport. It was a layover. It wasn't some crazy airport.
Yeah.
And every other white lady was like, oh my God, I love you on Jenna and Friends. And I'm like, yes. Where are you from?
Yeah.
What episode did you see?
Wow.
Like, I just want to give people that moment.
Yeah.
And I learned that from Kyle. She always gives people that moment. By the way,
I'm not that gracious, honey. Listen, the people come. I was making out with a man on a corner, and someone came up and was like, "Excuse me, are you Bevy?" I said, "You know what you're not going to.
You are not going to fuck this up for me."
Yeah.
By
Hello.
Yes. By the way, come get your moment unless you're cock blocking. Stay away. You cannot cock block.
People cock block. Sometimes I'm deep into a man's face and he deep in my face, and the people will come up. They used to do it when I was with my elderly parents. I'm trying to get my father off the curb.
Girl, you were
and into
struggling.
a wheelchair. I'm struggling. They're like, oh my God, baby, I love you. Well, if you love me, help me get my daddy in this wheelchair then. And then we can chat.
When I was younger and I was out in these streets, I used to go out with an alias. I used to tell people I worked in finance.
Yeah.
I used to give people my alias. His name was Winston. He was bomb.
Right,
Okay?
yes.
Out of town, Winston was kicking, bitch.
Killing
these hoes. And I'm talking to this guy one time, so hot. I'm at Gay Pride. I'm like killing it. And this girl, I could feel it. I could hear. I said, Mark, can you go over for a minute? Oh, Greg, can you go over for a minute? I turned around and I looked at that woman in the eye and I said, hey, bitch, this man right here is 6'2".
Yes.
He is hot and Canadian.
Yes.
Meet me at that bar over there. You can fan out. But this man thinks I'm Winston and I work in finance. Can you just order us 2 shots?
Yeah.
Here's my credit card. Order us 2 shots. I'm coming in 10 minutes.
So good.
And that lady took my credit card.
And went shopping.
And went to that bar and got those 2 shots because she didn't want to fuck up this booty call that I was about to get on because she saw this 6'2" man. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you just gotta give people what they need.
You gotta give them what they need.
Even if you're trying to get what you need.
Yeah, but no, I'm never doing that. I'm not that gracious. But that's also why for me, and I know we gotta wrap, but for me, it's important for people to know all sides of Bevy Smith because I need them to know that yes, I'm mother, auntie, bestie, but I'm also highly sexed. I'm a Scorpio.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm also a little snippy, which is why I show it on television because I can gather the kids up real cute all day. And I need you to know that because I don't want you. I need you to know there's boundaries.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
It sounds like you don't really worry about the boundaries. I'm into the boundaries.
I'm a Scorpio too.
Are you? I didn't know that.
November.
November what?
8th.
I'm November 2nd.
Honey. And by the way, you know when
you know me and long as a Scorpio.
When we need space, we stay the fuck in our house. Okay? So when I need my boundaries put up, I'm at my goddamn house. I'm not trying to move anywhere.
Yeah.
And, you know, but what I have learned, and I've learned this from Kyle Richards, I could be on the phone with her and she could be in the middle of crying about her husband or one of her kids or whatever's going on, yada, yada, yada. And I can hear her on the phone and somebody will come up and she'll be like, hold a minute. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, you want a picture? Yeah. Come right on in. Like, yeah. Then she'll come back on the phone. She's crying some more. She's crying some more. And then another woman's like, are you Kyle Richards? She's like, oh my God. Yes. Oh my God. Where are you from? Like, no. Oh my God. And I am in awe of that she is going through the hardest time in her life. This happened the other day. She is walking through an airport, going through the hardest time in her life, and she's still giving people their moments.
She better than me, child. I ain't got it in me. Maybe it's the Harlem in me, maybe it's the Scorpio in me, maybe it's the combo platter, but
it's that wig is too tight.
No,
that's the problem.
Baby, the dildo.
The wig is too tight.
That's
Hold
the dildo.
Hold on. Poison
Cicely, yeah.
Hold on, Cicely Tyson.
You look like right.
Pour one out for Cicely.
Well, pour some out for Cicely, honey. Justin, I just need you to know I love being in the middle with you, baby.
Ooh.
And I love even more being in bed with you.
Honey.
And thank you for being in bed with Bevy.
Anytime, Bevy. Cheers to you.
To us.
To us.
The middle.